My character looks like a right weirdo, doesn't he? Yeah. Before I start the video, quick little review on the game itself. Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown. I like it. I give it a 7.2, maybe down to a 7 because I had a few server issues. The driving feels good. The music feels good. As in the sound effects of the game, I should rather say, like how it goes more kind of muffled when you're inside the car. Graphics are good. Yeah, again, the server issues. One thing I'm gonna say I don't really like too much because sometimes the map doesn't even load, and the problem with a lot of racing games is that nowadays they require online connection, so sometimes the map won't even render. Like look in front of me here. Look, it's gonna stop, and then we're gonna have to go back to which might not even be a server issue, but yeah, I don't think that's a PC issue because I've changed the graphics and things like that, but it still is like that. We're probably still due for some more updates in this game, but nonetheless, I give it a 7, 7.2. Anyway, back to the topic of the video, which is, would you be making your younger self proud? And a lot of you might say no. A lot of you might say yeah. And a lot of you might just be confused. So I want to start off by saying that growing up doesn't have to feel boring. And I'll definitely make a video talking about this in more depth, but life can be fun like it was as you were a kid. It's just that you kind of have to do a little bit of work towards it and also kind of fix your stuff with your mental state and things like that. Which again, I'll talk about that in another video if you guys want. And are you making him? Are you making her proud? And how? And I'm not talking about, the abstract ideas you might have had when you were a kid where you might have thought, I want to fly or want to grow up and be like Superman, which in your own ways you could be, definitely like Superman. However, from a more realistic standpoint, obviously you're not going to be, right? But whatever kind of dreams you had as a kid, and like I said, even if they were as crazy as they might have been, you might have wanted to be an astronaut when you were younger, you might have wanted to be like a pilot, and you might not even have those same interests now, but there's something to take away from when you were a kid and those kind of thoughts to some of the things that you have now, because a lot of your adult life, fun fact, is actually it pretty much stems from your childhood. The childhood is like the state where your brain is developing and things like that. It stays with you pretty much for life. And so that's why a lot of people who, might be menaces to society and things like that, they oftentimes have had bad childhoods because it sticks with them. And so they don't know how to properly develop when they're older. And so they go on to do reckless things. And on the other side of that, maybe you had dreams that, you didn't have the right conditions to be nurtured, or maybe you didn't have the right attitude to kind of nurture it, maybe the opportunity. But as you grow up, you start to realize that most of these things are self-induced, because that's all we knew at the time. However, when you grow up, it's not the case anymore. And there are ways that you can maybe not fulfill your dreams completely like how you wanted to as a kid, but there's definitely ways in terms of how you can kind of adapt that to your real life. So say, for example, right, we're talking about the topic of astronaut and my game's frozen again. Nice. We're also on the topic of astronauts. Maybe you could change that into becoming someone who does space stuff, but just on a lower scale, because I'm pretty sure the training to become an astronaut is pretty crazy, right? But you can still do things that are pretty close. And not only pretty close, but you could also have a very, very wide impact in terms of helping people to not make the same kind of mistakes that you might have, maybe if that's the case. Or maybe you can help provide opportunities for people who have the same dream as you, younger now, but didn't have the opportunity to essentially make the most of it. So there's so many different ways you can still go about chasing your dreams and things like that. That's more of a kind of, you know, I'm gonna say humanist. That's a crazy word, but yeah, one that kind of helps other people. Humanitarian is what I was trying to say, but you can still make your younger self proud in any way, shape, or form. And not only that, but even maybe you let yourself go in terms of your bodily image, and maybe the younger you wanted a big, strong person who's physically fit and things like that, but you might have, let life get to you. You might have a binge eating kind of problem. You might be, not exactly in shape like how you imagine yourself to be when you're younger. So there's always different ways you can start to kind of change that, to start to kind of brace that, you know what, I'm going to make my inner self, my childlike self, or the child I was always dreaming when I was younger. And it just keeps freezing. You know what, we're going to give it a 6-8 now. just because of that reason now. And it's always in the same spots too, which is kind of unprofessional. I'll say. Bloody hell, I lost my train of thought now. My apologies. So it can always start from, again, the physical kind of body. Maybe you can eat a little bit better. Maybe you can exercise a little bit more. Maybe you can go for walks, get some fresh air, start treating the body right, and then sort of on the physical side of things, bringing your body to a more youthful state. When you're drinking more water, you're eating a balanced diet, you're exercising a good amount a week. These are just things that can just help kind of bring that state back to you. And your younger self would be proud because you'd be more energetic, you'd have more energy to do things and to be able to kind of even carry out some of the goals that you might have. And this game is too laggy. But yeah, not even just with kind of being physically fit can you help this, but even taking care of your mental state. A lot of times, a lot of emotions that we experience on a day-to-day basis, we tend to kind of carry on with a grudge to ourselves, and we hold on to that stuff quite a lot, believe it or not. It's not just like, oh, you live one day and then as soon as you wake up the next day, nah, your previous daily actions follow into the next day in terms of your thought process, how you feel every day. And so when you're kind of bombarded with negativity a lot of the time, you're removing that childlike state off you constantly, and that's where it all goes wrong. So remember to kind of take care of your mental health, whatever kind of makes you happy, whatever gives you that kind of joy at the end of the day. Always go to bed with a happy state of mind. I can't put a big enough emphasis on this because it's super, super, super important as we try and get on track. So 1, physical health. Then you've got 2, emotional / mental health. Trying to keep a clean slate every day. And I'll give you a good tip actually. It's kind of like woo-woo, if you will. But when you're having your daily shower, whatever it is, right? Just imagine the water just kind of cleansing you, bringing you back to that kind of pure like state, and whether it's placebo or not, you'll feel the water, like it feels good. It feels like you're being cleansed in a sense, but like more than just a shower would. So yeah. And then you've obviously got maybe spiritual, if you're more into the kind of religious side of life or more spiritual side of life, whatever it may be. You could also kind of dive into that and whatever works for you on that side of things. I'm not going to cover that in this video. But yeah, since the game is a bit too laggy, I'm going to end the video there. Kind of put me off my train of thought. Yeah, I think I'll give the game a 6.5 for now. It's just gone down and down. Anyway, peace and blessings to you all, and I'll see you in the next one.